Hi, everyone. David Zimmerman here. I understand that you folks have an event coming up on Saturday, and I'm sorry I can't be there with you in Eastport. I'm in Toronto right now and heading home to Victoria, my Pacific island. And I understand that Pam Beveridge has directed you all back to my talk last year, which gives you some examples of the importance of the events you're going to have this weekend in the history of Eastport, but also more broadly in the history of the United States. Of course, we're talking about the centenary of the North Officer Quarters, or more inaccurately called the Barracks, which was built by the camp settler 100 years ago. And all I can say about this is congratulations. Here I am, and as close as I can get to an authentic 1812 uniform. Wishing you all the best as you enjoy these important events. Now, for those of you who heard my talk, I think you must realize now how important the barracks are and why they must be preserved and why we should take a lot of pleasure at celebrating the centenary. However, I can tell you now that at this point, I actually have even more information than I had when I gave my talk about 11 months ago. And one of the people I've been really finding a lot of information on is this man, Captain, who's a brevet major, which means a temporary rank, Reginald Renaud Kirby. And at the time, I used him as an example of someone I knew very little about. But Kirby had a tremendous significance in American military history. Kirby first rose to prominence in the War of 1812, and he's actually left two very important diaries. One from the War of 1812 and his experiences as a very junior officer, and the second from his experience as a more senior officer in the Seminole Indian Wars. There's unfortunately little in these diaries on Fort Sullivan, but there's much more to Kirby. Kirby's life story was told in extreme detail as a result of an extraordinary event that occurred after the American Civil War, more than 25 years after Kirby died at Fort Sullivan as the commander of the fort. After the Civil War, Kirby's widow appealed to Congress for a survivor's pension. She was destitute. And the information contained in the subsequent investigations and act of Congress and the documents that were contained in there more fully illustrate his important career. His life story further illustrates the great importance of the North Officer Quarters to American history. Perhaps I'll get to talk about Kirby in a future talk to the Border Historical Society. Certainly, I can link in now the history of Fort Sullivan and the people that served there to not just events in the Civil War, which I talked about in great detail, but also to some very important events of the War of 1812. And there's a reason why I've put this set of photographs showing you the battlefield of Chippewa on the Niagara River in modern-day Ontario. I won't tell you why that's important, but certainly it is part of, ultimately, the story of Fort Sullivan. So I hope everyone has a great time, enjoys the celebration, and remember, it's for a great cause. And by the way, even today, Pam Beveridge sent me information about how the fact that Major Kirby's sword and family memorabilia have survived, even more than his diaries. Unfortunately, they're $35,000 to purchase. I think it's more important to fix the barracks. But there's much more to Kirby's story, and much more to the story of the North Officer Quarters or barracks. And this is why we gotta make sure this building survives. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great time. Bye-bye.